Today, I'm here to announce something incredibly important for Australia. Today, we open one of the biggest economic doors there is to open in the world today. We've been working on this for many years, the last 3.5 years in particular. We are opening the biggest door of one of the biggest economies in the world in India. Now, the Indian economy is worth billions and billions and billions all around the world. And there are many countries who want to do more business with India, but it's actually Australia that has been able to secure, and the agreement that we've been able to reach, which will be signed today by our trade ministers and witnessed by Prime Minister Modi and I later today. This agreement is an agreement that ensures that whether you're producing wool, or whether you're producing crayfish, or whether you're mining resources, critical minerals and rare earths, whether you're growing berries or avocados or cherries or beans, sheep mint, producing alumina, all of these are part of this important trade agreement that we've been able to reach with India. I particularly want to thank Dan Tehan, the Minister for Trade, who's done an extraordinary job working together with his counterpart, Minister Goyal, to ensure that we could get to yes as part of this agreement. I also obviously want to thank my dear friend Prime Minister Modi, who we have become very close over these years as Prime Ministers, as we've been dealing with the many challenges that we face in our region and in our world, whether it's dealing with COVID, whether it's dealing with the security issues in the Indo-Pacific, or indeed dealing with the economic partnership that we've both been so keen to forge. I also want to pay a special thanks to former Prime Minister Tony Abbott, who I appointed as a special envoy on this task, working with Dan Tehan. And because of COVID, when there were restrictions on where I could travel as a Prime Minister, Tony was able to go and do some of that work as well. So I want to thank him for his continuing contribution and willingness to always wanting to be working for Australia and supporting Australia. So thanks very much, Tony. And to Barry O'Farrell, our High Commissioner in India, who has done a terrific job in working as our High Commissioner there to ensure that we could bring this deal to fruition. What it's all about at the end of the day is jobs. It's all about jobs. And Australia's unemployment rate has fallen from 5.7% down to 4%. And it's no accident. It's the result of a strong economic plan that has taken Australia through the most challenging economic times since the Great Depression itself. You know, over the course of this pandemic, we have faced an economic challenge 30 times greater than what the country experienced during the global financial crisis when Labor were in power. But there's a big difference on the outcomes. In our case, we have got jobs outcomes that are 50% better than Labor were able to achieve. When Labor was in office, they took unemployment from 4.2%, where John Howard left them, and they put it up to 5.7% under Kevin Rudd. Under our government, we've got it from 5.7% down to 4%. And we've done that in the middle of the worst recession this country has seen, and frankly the world has seen, since the Great Depression itself. Now, that's what a strong economic plan delivers. And you cannot deliver that plan unless you have the foresight to be working on the trade agreements, the export agreements, that means that we can get our product, the best in the world, and get it out to the rest of the world. And to do that, you've got to open doors. In the last 3 years in particular, we've opened the doors of the UK trade agreement. We've opened the doors of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which represents about 68% or 65% of the world's trade. All of this means jobs. It means jobs in the regions, and when the regions are successful, like here in Tasmania, then all of Australia is successful. And in the cities, they benefit from the great success of our regions and opening up. When we came to government, 27% of our trade was covered by these export agreements. Today, it's 78%. And what we're doing is we're unlocking the markets around the world for Australians so they can unlock the wealth that is in our regions and they can unlock the jobs. And that's why Australia's economy is so strong, because of our economic plan to get Australia on the front foot, whether it's access to markets, whether it's lower taxes, whether it's reliable, affordable energy, whether it's moving us into the new age of data and digital technologies which make our businesses even more competitive, whether it's making sure we make things here in Australia, manufacturing, making important things, seeing the expansion of our resource industries in particular. So all of that combines together to produce a strong economy, because if you can't manage a strong economy, you can't pay for anything else. You can make whatever promises you like about what you might want to do, but if you can't manage money, if you can't manage a strong economy, then you cannot deliver the stronger future that Australians need. And our government has demonstrated that. And today's agreement with India is further proof of the success of Australia's economic plan as we've reached out and sought to diversify the markets that Australia is looking to access, and they don't come any bigger than India. This is the biggest door we've thrown open in a very long time.
The agreement that you're unveiling is more wide-ranging than many people expected,
yeah.
But the gains for most sectors are modest according to experts. Should we see it as an economic document or a strategic one?
I'd see it as both. I mean, it unlocks significant opportunities for Australia, and particularly here in Tasmania, whether it's in berries or whether it's in wool, ultimately whether it's in wine, crayfish, all of these. They're all real benefits, and they happen straight away. But in addition to that, you rightly say that it sets out the roadmap to further and further economic cooperation into the future. When we were negotiating the RCEP deal through ASEAN, India did not come into that agreement. But it was very clear to me afterwards in my discussions with Narendra, with Prime Minister Modi, that there is a real willingness to see Australia and India go forward within India with a trade relationship. Now, this began, there have been many Prime Ministers that have sought to bring this to a conclusion. This goes back to 2011, and that's why I particularly wanted to highlight the work of Tony Abbott. And this is why I brought Tony Abbott back into the team to help us actually conclude this arrangement. And so, yes, the door is open now, and so we can start walking through it. And here, we've got 6% of the exports that have come out of this very wool store here currently go to India. And that figure is going to be able to rise and rise and rise and rise. And it enables our producers to diversify and to be more resilient to the obvious shocks and to the obvious issues that are happening in global trade as a result of global security issues.
Prime Minister, did you sacrifice chickpeas if you get this deal through before the election?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sacrifice chickpeas so you can get this deal through before the election?
We were very keen to see this agreement come to a conclusion because we've been working for so many years to achieve it. And once you get the door open, then all of the other opportunities come. And I think that's one of the things that you learn when you've done as many agreements on this as our government has, is it's never the end of the discussion. You're always going to have more discussions, but you have to be able to realise the gains that you have made. And these are never all or nothing deals as far as we're concerned. We see all of these as the next step and the next step and the next step. And so it would have been foolish of a government not to have realised the gains and the progress that have been made. And particularly with Prime Minister Modi and I, it is something that we've been working to for many years. Plenty of countries have tried to achieve exactly what's in this document, and they've all failed. And I believe one of the key reasons we've been able to secure this agreement is because we worked on ensuring that the like-minded partnership we have on so many other issues, on security issues, on regional humanitarian issues, on things that are very important to both countries. This arrangement, this deal, is not just about economics. It's an expression of the deep partnership that Prime Minister Modi and I have already established, particularly on issues of security, the work we do through the Quad, the work we're particularly doing on critical minerals and rare earths, which is such a big part of Australia's engagement with like-minded countries around the world for secure supply chains. So this is the product of a relationship we've worked very hard on.